everybody.
What's up?
It's Ellie.
And it's Eddie.
Welcome to Fast Youth.
I hope you guys are having a great day today.
If you want to stand up, get a stretch, clear out some furniture.
Because we're going to have an amazing worship and sermon today from Pastor Adrian.
Enjoy.
Dear God, we thank you for today. I thank you because of who you are. I thank you because we have the freedom to worship and praise you wherever we are, even if that's in our homes without a large group of people at church like we normally have it every Tuesday, oh God. But I thank you because you remain faithful and you are gracious for us, oh God. So I pray that you would still move, that you would move in this place, that you would move in the different homes that are watching us today, oh Father. And that you would have your way, that you would come and touch our hearts. Come and lead us today, oh God. And I pray that you would just have your way. Have your way today, Holy Spirit. Have your way, oh God. There's power that can empty out the grave. There's a resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. There's power in your name. Oh, there's power that can break off every chain. There's power that can empty out the grave. There's resurrection power that can save. There's power in your name. There's power in your name.
Bring it all to peace. The storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name still, go and see it still. The raging me is still everywhere. At your name, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear
Father, you inhabit the praises of your people. So wherever your people are, your presence is there also, Father. So your presence is here just as it is there with the viewers in their homes, Father. We thank you so much that we're able to call you, Father. For all that you give us, Lord, your blessing, Father, the blessing of life, the blessing of your presence over our families, Father, over our futures, Lord, and our present. I thank you, Lord. The song we're going to sing is called The Blessing. You may have heard it. It's become very popular. It was written probably like a couple of weeks ago by Elevation Church, if you know who they are, Carrie Job and Cody Carnes. And so I really wanted to sing this song because it's amazing. Parents, like if you're there, like watching this song talks about the peace of God, and it talks about His blessing over you, your children, and not just them, but their children and their children. And it's really just, it gets us in the mindset of receiving the blessing, the promises of God over ourselves, over our families, over our marriages. And so as we sing this, I want you to really think about the words. They're going to be posted behind me. Sing with us if you know it, as we worship the Lord together. Thank you, Jesus.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace. Lord bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace. The Lord bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace.
right now, what it is you're going through, what your family's going through. But one thing I know for sure is that God is consistent. And if God was there before, He'll be there now. And He'll still be there tomorrow. So don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. Concern yourself right now in this moment and what God's wanting to do in your life. What He's wanting to speak to you, to your children, to your relationship, to your parents. Cast your cares on Him, for He cares for you. So we're just going to take a couple more minutes. We'll keep singing this song, and I don't know what it is you're going through. What I do know is that God hears you, He sees you, and He's for you. He's for you, and we can never sing that. We can never say that enough. He is for you. He's for you. Sing this with us. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you that you're for me.
May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations. Your family, your children, their children. His presence will be for you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He's for you, He's with you in the morning, in the evening, when you're coming and you're going, and you're weeping and rejoicing. He's for you, He's for you. May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations. Your family, your children, and your children. His presence will be for you, behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He's with you, He's with you.
I love it because the song, the chorus is literally one word. The word is amen. Over and over and over and over and over and over. And the reason it is because it's, I agree. Let it be. Let it be done. Let it be so. Amen. So if you believe that God is for you, you say amen. If you believe that God is with you, you say amen. If you believe that He's going to bless your family and your children, you say amen. That's what that song does. It's simple. Probably the shortest chorus I've ever heard. Amen. God, we believe it. We trust you, Father. We hold tight to your promises. Lord, that you are with us, you are for us. In our weeping and our rejoicing in every moment, you are there, Father. You never leave us nor forsake us. You are near to the brokenhearted. You are closer than a brother, than a friend. Thank you, Jesus, for your presence in the middle of the storm. Thank you that we can still freely worship you. They can stop us from leaving our house, but they can't stop us from praising the name of the Lord. So I will praise you. I will praise you in confinement. I will praise you in my quarantine. God, I'll praise you even when one else is crazy. I'm crazy. Because you deserve it. Because you are worthy. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. I praise you, Father. It's in your precious and holy name we worship. And everybody says, amen. And so I have a question, just like really quick. It doesn't have to be, I have to go into deep, but is there something you're grateful for? What are you grateful for? I mean, there's obviously a long list, and there's things that might seem like, oh, well, of course, basic, but hey, if you're grateful for it, you're grateful for it. Like, for example, your family. They're all together, right? Because usually, family is working, they're at school. Because of this coronavirus, man, it brought the family together, so that's just an example. I don't know, what about y'all? What are some things that you're grateful for?
I'm grateful for, in this time, mostly, I'm grateful for my health. Because normally, I'm young, so I normally don't care about that, about my health, but seeing how things are going around and to be sure that, I'm in God's hands, so I'm healthy and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Something you're grateful for? You don't have to give a reason. You can just say what it is. It's okay. Unless you want to. Yes.
Well, I think it might sound cheesy or whatever, but it's like being able to worship.
Oh yeah.
Like, at least for me that I play an instrument, it's always a good way to connect with God. Like maybe easier than just sitting down and reading the Bible. Just like playing on the piano or whatever comes to my mind. Just having that time with God just by playing something,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe all of you are grateful for this, but I'm grateful for my family, and they're all backstage.
They're back there. You can't see.
Back there, but like in the little things that they help facilitate the home first of all. And my mom, as soon as you walk in, she's like, "Wash your hands," and and every day, and I just want to roll my eyes, but I'm like, it's true. Like if I wouldn't have my mom to remind me about washing my hands, I'd probably not think about it and just I don't know. But those little things are just things that I'm grateful for, and then even on Sundays or moments when we can get together, I don't take them for granted. So I'm really thankful to have a family that I can share this time with.
Yeah, Chris,
My support system,
your support system. Oh, that's so
family,
interesting.
friends, everyone in general. Just anyone who can reach out and ask how you're doing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So, if there's anything you would like to message. Text are short, we won't answer it for an hour, but if you'd like to comment at the bottom, something you're grateful for. I truly mean that in times where things seem tough, and times seem rough. Honestly, the thing that helps the most is when you remind yourself of the things that you still have, the great things that you're grateful for. Start listing them. I think I was told once that if you list them every day, if you're someone who's naturally prone to fear or worry or doubt, if you list every day when you wake up, the first thing you do is list the things you're grateful for. Or at the end of the week, you go back throughout the week and see the things that you're grateful for that took place. You'll see your personality or your attitude change if you do that. So absolutely. Okay, cool. So I know a lot of the people that are watching us are youth. Like I mentioned, y'all are going through something rough right now. Actually, none of us have really experienced, I was told it's happened in a couple generations past, it's happened before, but this is all new to us as far as this whole being quarantined and whatnot. And so there are difficult times for sure, and because y'all are youth, y'all have been locked in for what, 10 days, 12 days? I don't even know how many days it is now. Okay, if you know how many days, you have not seen the light of day. Some of you, I know, just message how long it's been since you've been outside. So, I'm sure the word that I see or I hear all the time from you all is, I'm so bored. I'm bored. I'm tired. I'm just out of my mind. There's nothing to do besides eat all my snacks, my bunker snacks. All I have to do is watch TikToks, and you probably are starting to watch reruns now of TikToks because you've seen them all. Or some of you are probably done with your campaigns on your video games, so now you're there's nothing else to do. So what you're probably doing now is probably YouTube, but even on YouTube you're probably watching people eat snacks or food, watching TikTok videos, and watching other people play video games. So it's a cycle that you're probably done with. You're probably extremely bored with. So I understand that things are difficult, but if I could, I want to take you out of your boredom for just a second. And I want us to picture and I want us to think about, just imagine a time pre-coronavirus, pre-COVID-19, pre-quarantine, pre-disaster. And imagine a time where the Florida sun is hitting your face. You feel a nice ocean breeze, and it feels like salt hitting against your face. And then between your toes, you can feel some sand, right? It's nice and warm. And then maybe they might even be wet because you're sticking your toes in the water. I want you to think with me about a beach, right? Is anyone missing the beach? Is anyone missing the beach? Are y'all beach people?
She's still coloring?
She says, quarantine is my life. No. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I know a lot of people are missing the beach. Now, I'm a person who absolutely I like the beach. I like going to the beach. And when I was a kid, I used to actually get in the water. Now that I'm older, I don't know what it is. If I can't see the floor, then I don't want to be in that water. That's just me. I want to know exactly what's around me, which is why I prefer to get in water at a pool and not at the beach. But I enjoy being on the sand. But I do remember when I was younger, something interesting happens to the beach, and I think happens to all of us. I don't know. Do y'all have favorite activities that you do at the beach? What do y'all do?
Sandcastles.
Sandcastles, soccer,
Bury someone.
bury someone. Yeah, you have to do that.
My parents said volleyball.
Volleyball at the beach. Yeah.
Barbecue.
Oh, you don't know. Well,
Barbecue.
barbecue. Yeah. Well, one of my favorite things that I like to do is get in the water and play catch. I don't know what it was. Like everyone usually takes a ball and something, a frisbee, and one person stands over there, one over here, and you're just throwing the ball back and forth. And then eventually you get bored because it's basically ping pong. And so you start doing different things. So you'll toss it really high up, or you'll do a shotgun throw, or you'll try to make it skip the water, or whatever. Right? So you're playing, or you're swimming, or jumping. Has anyone ever tried to jump through the waves? Or you're doing whatever, at the beach, right? And before you know it, you look up. And you look to the shore, and all of a sudden it's whoa, how did we drift so far? Has that happened to anyone? You're just playing, distracted. You look up, it's how did we drift so far? What? And then if you're, any parents out there, you probably know you've done this. You probably hear your parents going Adrian, regresa, right? Come back, you're going too far. What are you doing? You're gonna drown. Whatever. It's Mom, chill out. And so she's calling me out. Sorry, Mom, if you're watching this, but she's come back, right? Has anyone ever experienced that? Your parents are yelling at you or friends or something, and you just realize oh man, how did we get so far? We're perfectly fine. It's not like we were trying to escape. No. It's we were just all of a sudden we just drifted. And I think this image really paints the picture as to what I believe God has been speaking to me about this whole coronavirus, the situation that's going on. Let me explain. A lot of us currently, there's a lot of noise happening around us. There's a lot of uncertainty. It seems like fear seems to be the loudest voice that we hear around us. There's a lot of people that are absolutely, terrified for their life, maybe for their future. And they're concerned and they're worried. And before they know it, they look up to the shore. And for me, when I imagine this, it's almost as if the person calling to us through the middle of all of this uncertainty, all of this disaster happening in our nation and really in the world, in the middle of this, we have someone calling out to us. Calling out to us and saying, Adrian, come back. You're too far. You're distracted. I know the waves seem scary. I know there's people around you that are loud. And I know you may be uncertain for your future, but come back. Obviously, what I'm talking about here, I believe God is wanting to speak to us. I believe God is wanting to get our attention in the middle of all of this craziness, as if we've drifted almost, without noticing, without noticing. And so for me, what I really want to talk about tonight is that we cannot, in the middle of the mess, we cannot allow all of this mess to block our ears from hearing the Messiah calling to us. Don't allow the mess to block your ears from what the Messiah is wanting to call to you and what he's wanting to show you. And I believe a lot of us, I said this earlier, we're prone to be worried, to be concerned. We're prone to fear. we're prone to look at the negative, right? How can this be? Like, how did we get here? How did this happen? Last week, I mean, I was planning for summer. I was planning for spring break, whatever. I had all these plans, and now it's like I can't even leave my house. What's going on? I have no idea. And if we continue in that, what we're doing is the mess around us is clouding what God is wanting to speak to us. And so kind of like this beach illustration what I'm doing, where your parents will call out to you and say, hey, come back. You drifted. Come back. I believe God is wanting to show us something. And I've talked to a couple of youth actually recently, and just getting their opinions really on this whole situation. And obviously a lot of people are like, well, I'm concerned, my family's concerned, and they're all fearful, and they don't know what's going to happen, and a lot of stores are closing, and all this stuff. And I got to hear them, and it really just got me thinking, like, man, how else can you just get the world's attention? I mean, we have social media, sure. I mean, we have celebrities, yeah, but all at once, how can you get the world's attention? Now, I'm not trying to say that God over here released some virus, like, to haunt us and to make us all fearful and to get us back. Like, you know what I mean? A las buenas o las malas. You know what I mean? What's that phrase? En las buenas o las malas? Like, no, I don't believe that's the case. But what I do know is that God uses everything, even disaster, to give himself glory. And so I believe, like, man, this is awesome because something happens, right? We have this coronavirus that has been released and everyone's fearful and stores are closing. People are at home, they can't leave. And I mentioned at the beginning is to remind yourself of the things you're grateful for. And so I wonder, when was the last time you spent this much time with your whole family? When was the last time you spent this much time with your kids? Those of you who are watching your parents. I don't know how many of you have ever lately been feeling like maybe job or school has been burning you out. Maybe it's been getting too much. I hear all the time that people wish they had more vacation time, right? People wish that, man, I can take a vacation, but if I take it now, then I won't have it over the summer. And I'm really planning, so I'm just going to have to just suck it up and continue on, right? And it's almost as if it's like, everyone gets vacation time now. And everyone gets to take a break. And everyone gets to chill out and relax. And I love it because God's using it for good. God's using it for good. And what should be our response to it? We are obviously looking at Paul this month. And I want to turn to, we were reading out of the same chapter last week, but I want to go a few verses before. And this is in Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4, and I'm just going to read a couple of verses to me that really spoke out on this idea of what our response should be. What do we need to be? What should our attitude be? Or really, what should we remind ourselves of during this time? Because if you turn on any type of media outlet, news outlet, the news, TV, whatever, a lot of it is negativity and a lot of it is scariness and a lot of it, can be frightening, absolutely. We see stores closing and all this, so what should our response be? And I really want to read this, and this is what it says. Philippians 4, starting in verse 4, says this. Rejoice in the Lord always. Now this is Paul talking. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. I want to stop right there because he repeats himself. So rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. It's as almost what he's about to say or what he just said is important. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you want to make it bold so that way people can see it, or you underline it so that way people can know it's important. You know what I mean? So he's like, let me say it again. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Man, what a sentence. The Lord is near. The Lord is near. It's almost as if we need to remind ourselves, and he was trying to remind here, the church, trying to remind them, the believers, the Lord is near. I get it. There's reason to not be happy. There's reason to not rejoice. But rejoice. Why? Because the Lord is near. He doesn't disappear just because times are rough. See, our circumstances do not determine whether God's presence is there or not. What's happening in our current situation does not determine God's love for us. What happens around us can be hard. It can be torturous. Or we can suffer from it. But that does not mean God has left. See, we live in a broken world. Life is not promised to be great and beautiful and dandelions and rainbows. It's not what it is. Nor was it intended to be that way. How else do we learn? How else do we grow if not through hard times? If not through trials? If not through difficult times? How else will we grow? And so here, he reminds them, the believers, the Lord is near. So youth, adults, whoever you are watching, the Lord is near, even in the middle of this coronavirus. The virus did not scare God away. The virus did not shut him up. Let's continue. Do not be anxious about anything. I don't know how many of us are anxious. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God. And I'll stop there because the word peace, we've been singing a couple songs now that mention peace. Man, what this world needs right now is peace. People are looking for peace, but they're looking at it in different ways. Some people are looking for it in answers. People are looking for it in government responses. People are looking at it in statements made by pastors or sermons. People are looking for peace, right? Because they don't know the uncertainty of life right now. They're looking for peace. But we know as believers, as the song sings, the one who brings peace is Christ Jesus. He is peace, and so only he can give peace. We can look for remedies, we can look for band-aids to fix our boo-boo, but we'll still have the scar. We won't be healed, right? Only Jesus can heal our scars. Only Jesus can give us peace in the middle of our suffering. So here it says, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, with prayer and thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, this is what it says happens, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. I don't know who here thinks they know it all, but let me burst your bubble. You don't. You may have a master's degree, you may plan to get a master's degree, you may have some 10th grade knowledge, I don't know what you may think. You may be the best person in Fortnite, you may be the best at TikToks, whatever knowledge, whatever level you may have or think you have, you still cannot reach what God knows, because his understanding is far greater and far more than our own understanding. He created you. I think he knows a thing or two about the world and its condition. I think he's aware. Here it says, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. I've had a discussion already with one particular youth who, this situation has really been affecting him. He was so hopeful for 2020, 2019, however 2019 went, but he was hopeful for 2020. He was looking for good, for blessing, for his relationship with God to grow and to do better. And then this, boom, it's like curveball out of nowhere. And now he just feels like, it's all over. What's the point now? It's like, this kind of just sets the tone for the rest of 2020. How am I supposed to continue this way? And I love it because we got to talking and I really got to share with him. It's like, this did not surprise God. God knew this was going to happen in 2020, in March, right? Starting in spring break. He knew this was going to happen before he even created the world. He knows all things. So if he knows all things, don't you think he has a plan for all things? So for me, it's like God can use even this for his glory. He can use this. And he's calling to us. And if we're so distracted by our anxiety, by our own understanding, by our own questions, by our suffering, and if we're so distracted by all of the waves, if we're so distracted, we're going to miss who's calling out to us, who planned something particular for you and your life and for our nation and for our church as well. We won't hear it. We'll miss out. We won't hear him calling out to us. But here it says, he's going to bring you peace. Take all your worries. Take all your anxiety. Take it to him. Let him deal with it because he's already got a plan. And in its place, he'll give you peace. And you won't understand it. How can I have peace when my parents are so concerned? When they got laid off or they don't have a job or there's no paycheck? How can I possibly have peace? Guess what? I don't know. That means it surpasses our own understanding. I don't know, but I know that you will when you take it to God. But I know that you will. And what happens is your hearts and your minds will be guarded in Christ Jesus. So what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with this? I I love it because he continues. He knows the human condition. He knows the human's heart. He knows our problem to be very pessimistic and, you know what I mean, and worryful, if that's even a word. And you know what I mean, we care and we're so concerned for the future and for others. And so it's the same. These were people, these were humans that Paul was writing to. And so he tells them this. He continues verse 8, says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Think on these things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. The God of peace will be with you. How? When we stop focusing on the mess and start listening for the Messiah. When we start listening to what God's wanting to speak to us in the middle of this, and we stop looking at our surroundings, our mess, we receive peace to get through this. Because I said this last week and I still believe it, and I'll believe it until it's over, until I see it, that we're going to get through this. This will pass. This will pass. Time of suffering will pass. Time of uncertainty will pass. Time of fear will pass. We'll get through this not by our own strength, but by Christ, by his peace. He's not saying that he's going to take away the problem, the pain, the suffering, the job. He's all of a sudden, he's going to open up your parents' job tomorrow so that way they can go to work. No, what he promises is that he'll give you peace to get through the struggle. He'll give you peace to get through this problem. I don't know about you, but I'd rather get through this coronavirus with peace in my heart than freaking out like everybody else. Buying up toilet paper. What's the... I don't understand. Take a shower. You want toilet paper. Here's what I'm trying to say. Stop focusing on the mess. Focus on Jesus, because he's calling out to you. And if we allow our surroundings, our circumstances, to cloud, to block our hearing, to cloud our seeing, before you know it, we'll look up and we've drifted so far away from the shore. We've drifted so far away from where we're supposed to be, because something else came in the place of what God is wanting to speak to us. So Father, I pray right now for every person listening to me, Lord. God, I won't pretend to know their situation. I won't pretend to know their circumstance. Lord, I won't pretend to know exactly what they're going through, what their heart is going through, what they're feeling, Lord, what they're thinking of, Father. But what I do know from the bottom of my heart is that your word is truth, and it does not return void. Lord, your word has power, Father. Lord, and if your word says that we should bring our worries, our anxiety, our cares to you, that in its place, Father, we will find peace. Lord, so I pray right now for every student, every adult, every parent, Lord, whatever they are facing, the challenges in their way in regards to this coronavirus, or maybe even outside of this virus, just personal things happening with health, Lord, whatever is going on, Lord. Lord, you offer peace, Lord, in the middle of our problem. Your peace that surpasses understanding. We won't understand how we can receive peace when everything seems to be under fire, Lord. But that's the thing. We don't have to understand. All we have to do is trust. So I pray, Lord, that we would trust you through this. That we would look for your voice. That we would hear for your voice in the middle of this time, this season, Father. And I pray, Lord, that we would have our ears open and ready to receive, ready to hear what you are wanting to speak to us, Father. Maybe some of us have been drifting even before this virus has even started. Maybe some of us, without even realizing, we've been getting further and further away from you. And maybe, just maybe, this virus is an opportunity for us to come back. Maybe in our boredom, being at home with nothing to do, it's the perfect time to open up your word and to learn about you. Maybe when we feel like we're alone, maybe that's the perfect time for us to realize that you are never alone, that you're with us, that you will be with us always. Lord, I pray for whatever it is that you're speaking to the church, to this nation, to this world, Lord. I pray that we would receive it. I pray that we would listen. Lord, because you're coming soon. Lord, and I want to be ready. God, help me to be ready today. Help me be ready, Father, to know you more, to trust you more. I won't look at my mess. I'll focus on the Messiah who's calling out to me. Thank you, Jesus. I praise you and I worship you. It's in your precious name I pray. Amen.
Thank you guys for tuning in,
Make sure you check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
where we'll be posting stuff weekly to keep you guys entertained.
See you soon.